250 shillings. That's all it takes to plunge a nation into a furious debate about dignity, survival, and the very soul of its economy. Welcome to Kenya News Update today. I'm your host, and we are diving deep into the firestorm ignited by a simple, devastating phrase, 250 shillings. This isn't just about money. It's a window into a national crisis, a breaking point for millions, and the story dominating every street corner, matatu, and social media feed right now. Stay with us. To understand why 250 shillings has become a national rallying cry, we must rewind. The context is a perfect storm of economic pressures that have been building for years. We're talking about a sustained high cost of living, locally known as unga prices, that has squeezed household budgets to their absolute limit. The government's Finance Act of 2023 introduced a slew of new taxes, including the controversial housing levy and increased VAT on fuel, which cascaded into the price of every single commodity. Then came the shilling's dramatic depreciation against the dollar, making imports, from fuel to cooking oil to machinery, catastrophically more expensive. This is the tinder. The spark was a recent, stark admission by a senior government official. During a public forum addressing the plight of Kenyan youth, the official suggested that with just 250 shillings, a young person could potentially buy a loaf of bread and a soda and survive for a day. The statement was intended to highlight frugality, but it was received as a thunderclap of disconnect. It laid bare a perceived chasm between the ruling class and the harsh realities of the average citizen. This isn't the first time a specific sum has triggered outrage. Recall the 100 shillings debate years ago, but 250 shillings hits differently in today's economic climate. The key players here are the frustrated public, opposition leaders who seized the narrative, and a government now scrambling to control the damage. The timeline is swift: a viral clip, instant social media fury, memes branding it, #KSH250 challenge, opposition press conferences, and now, a full-blown national conversation about what it truly means to live, not just survive, in Kenya today. So what are the core facts? The statement is out there, recorded, and undeniable. In response, government spokespersons have attempted clarification, stating the comment was taken out of context and was meant to encourage entrepreneurial thinking with minimal capital. But the genie is out of the bottle. The key statistics tell the real story. According to the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, the overall inflation rate has hovered stubbornly high, with food inflation being particularly brutal. The price of a 2-kilogram loaf of branded bread has skyrocketed to over 170 shillings in many supermarkets. A 500 ml soda can cost 70 shillings to 100 shillings. So that theoretical 250 shillings is gone on just those two items, with nothing left for transport, airtime, or, heaven forbid, a vegetable. Let's talk data. The minimum wage in major cities like Nairobi is 15,120 shillings per month. That breaks down to roughly 504 shillings per day, before statutory deductions. For a family of four, the World Bank defines the international poverty line at about 300 shillings per person per day. The math is impossible. Expert analysis from economists like Dr. Scholastica Odhiambo from the University of Nairobi paints a grim picture. She states the 250 shillings comment is a symptom of a severe analytical failure to comprehend the weighted basket of goods a Kenyan needs. It's not about surviving on a single meal. It's about the cost of housing, schooling, healthcare, and energy that have all evaporated any disposable income. This figure is an insult to the complex arithmetic of poverty that millions perform every single morning. The different perspectives on this issue have hardened into battle lines. The opposition, led by figures like Raila Odinga, has framed this as the ultimate evidence of a government that is heartless and detached. They have organized symbolic protests, with people displaying what 250 shillings can actually buy in 2024, often just a handful of tomatoes, some onions, and a small packet of flour. Their viewpoint is that this rhetoric minimizes the profound struggles of Kenyans and exposes a leadership that governs by spreadsheet, not by empathy. On the other hand, some pro-government analysts and bloggers are pushing a narrative of resilience and mindset. They argue that the core message was about encouraging innovation starting from scratch, using examples of small-scale vendors who begin with meager capital. However, this counter-narrative is largely drowned out by public anger. International reactions have also begun to trickle in. Global financial institutions like the IMF, while supportive of Kenya's fiscal consolidation efforts, have issued muted warnings about the social impact of austerity. Diplomatic circles are watching closely, concerned about potential instability. The deeper implication here is a crisis of trust. This episode isn't just about a tone-deaf comment, it's about the erosion of the social contract. When people believe their leaders do not understand, or worse, do not care about their daily struggle, it breeds a deep-seated resentment that undermines every policy, every initiative, and every national call for unity. Now, let's get granular on the impact. How does this affect ordinary people? Let's meet Mary, a house help in Karyabengi. Her daily wage is 500 shillings. Bus fare from her house is 100 shillings each way. That's 200 shillings gone immediately. Lunch, if she buys, is at least 150 shillings for Githeri. She's already at 350 shillings, with only 150 shillings left to contribute to her family's evening meal, her children's school needs, and rent. 250 shillings is more than half her daily disposable income after transport. For a Boda rider like John in Nakuru, 250 shillings is roughly 2 short trips. It's the cost of a single tire puncture repair. It's not a day's survival fund, it's an incidental expense that can derail his entire day's profit. The economic implications are vast. When millions are surviving, not thriving, consumer spending on non-essentials collapses. Small businesses suffer. The VAT the government hopes to collect shrinks because people are only buying absolute basics. Socially, the ramification is a rise in stress, mental health issues, and domestic tensions. Politically, it is rocket fuel for mobilization against the current administration. What happens next? The government is likely to double down on its bottom-up economic transformation messaging, but the 250 shillings label will stick as a potent symbol of hardship. We can expect more heated parliamentary debates, with the opposition demanding immediate action to lower the cost of living, not just advice on how to endure it. What are the experts saying beyond the headlines? Development economist Dr. Samuel Nyandimo offers this analysis. This is a classic case of a poverty line being spoken aloud, but without the intellectual honesty that accompanies it. Globally, when we talk about extreme poverty, we're talking about figures like $2.15 a day. 250 shillings is perilously close to that. The outrage is because a government official inadvertently admitted what economists know but politicians avoid stating, that a significant portion of our population is teetering on that razor's edge. Comparisons are being drawn to similar, let them eat cake, moments worldwide, from Marie Antoinette to modern political gaffes in other nations facing inflation. The key difference here is the pervasive reach of social media to amplify and immortalize the comment. Predictions are sobering. Without a tangible, rapid reversal in the cost of living, through subsidies, tax revisions, or significant wage increases, this sentiment will crystallize. It will become the defining benchmark against which all future economic policies are measured. The 250 shillings benchmark is now a psychological anchor for public frustration. Forecasts suggest continued pressure on the shilling and potentially more social unrest if the narrative of disconnect is not urgently addressed with concrete action, not just rhetoric. In conclusion, the key takeaway is this: 250 shillings has transcended currency. It is now a unit of measure for empathy, a metric for hardship, and a symbol of a great national divide. What started as a comment has become a referendum on the cost of living crisis. What to watch for in the coming weeks is whether this firestorm forces a tangible policy shift or simply fades into the background noise of other crises. Will we see emergency interventions on food prices? A revisiting of the more punitive taxes? The public is watching, and their patience, much like their budgets, is stretched incredibly thin. This is more than a trending topic, it's a national mood. Subscribe to Kenya News Update today for more breaking news and deep dive analysis.